welcome to today's webinar. And I will, without further delay, jump into introducing our special guest today. Her name is Karen Derrico. You're probably familiar with her. You've seen the different advertisements about this webinar today. She is the star of TLC's Doubling Down with the Derricos, and she's also a Bridgeway Academy homeschooling supermom. We're really excited to share her story and hear from her about how she homeschools and stays sane while homeschooling 14 children, or 9 children, but 14 kids in the house. Quite a feat. So thank you, Karen, for being here, and thank you for coming and sharing all of these different tips with us today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hello, everyone. I want to apologize about my voice. I had hosted a party over the weekend, and this is what happens when a mom of 14 finally gets some time to party with her friends. So my husband and I had a joint belated birthday party. So my voice is completely gone. My children is excited that it's like this because they know that I can't say anything to them a whole lot. So they are running with this right now. But I appreciate everyone for joining our Zoom today. I wanted to I know it's a lot of questions. People always ask, how do you do it? So I wanted to give you a quick breakdown as to how I stay sane, while I am homeschooling. I have a total of 9 in that is attending Bridgeway. And then I have my 5 that are 2 of my 4-year-olds, and then my triplets are 2. So they are kind of like doing their own little online, like YouTube. I find learning videos, and I'm a big fan of Leapfrog. So they do a lot of those. So my oldest is Darian. She is 15 years old. She loves to write and create really fun videos. And then you have my Derek. Darian is a sophomore. So she's in the 10th grade. She really loves it. Derek is 11 years old. He's in the 6th grade, loves to draw and read, and he loves to challenge himself in learning new things. Then you have my 10-year-olds, Dallas and Denver. They love to write songs and make beats. So if I'm teaching them something, I just try to make it, I have them like write a song about it. And it really and truly helps them to understand it. And once they get the concept, so you'll see them in there, and when I say drop the beat and they start doing something, I'm like, oh Lord, these 2 in there. But it's fun and it's creative, and that's what learning is about. And then you have my quintuplets. We start with Danico. All of them are 8 years old. He learns through music as well. He loves to DJ. So I just like him to put on his little headphones, and I'm trying to find him a DJ, I guess a spin table or something like that he can work on. But I think Danico has been here before, because there's so many things that he does, and I'm like, how did you know that? But again, he learns through music. And you have Darius. He's my little sweetheart. He loves to learn, but he's shy. He's my little I call him Michael Jackson. We was at the party on Sunday, and the dance floor is empty. The DJ throws on Billie Jean. Out of nowhere, here Darius comes and starts, he started doing the moonwalk and Michael Jackson moves. So it comes out. He's shy, but it comes out. And then you have Deani. She loves to learn and likes to make sure she's heard. So she raises her hand on every question. She loves for the teacher to call on her. And every teacher loves a student like Deani, who just loves to learn, because you can never, ever stop. Dacian, she loves learning and singing again. And as you can probably see, most of all my children are musically inclined. I can't sing. My grandmother and mother can, but I cannot. So I guess they got it from them. Then you have Dayton. She is shy, and she always just wants world peace. Like, she just wants everybody to get along. I'm like, that's my pageant daughter, because she's going to be the one to be like, I just want world peace. She loves singing and dancing as well, but they all learn together. They all really and truly just loves to learn. So I want to give you, on the next slide, I want to give you a little bit of what an average school day looks like for us. So it's important for me to let you know that we normally have school in Vegas. And although school is Eastern Standard Time, it's 12 to 3. In Vegas, it is 9 to 12. We are here on vacation in South Carolina, in Myrtle Beach, and we are now on the regular traditional school schedule of 12 to 3, which is really, it's a good thing for the children because they don't get up as early, but it also is a good thing for me because I have this time before school starts to work with them a little bit more. Whereas then when we get back home, everything happens after school. So while we're here vacationing, I am going to tell you a little bit of what our average day is like and how vacationing looks like for us. So a couple of hours before school begins, so we'll say around 9 or 10, I do group reading as a family. I have all of them choose a book. We go, I order it online or we go to Barnes and Noble and we pick a family book. And I will read that book prior to class. And I promise you, I love reading to them because that's when I like to pull out my acting chopping skills. And I like to read and put them into the book. I love reading with them. I absolutely love the fact that I get to stop it. So when they're like, what's going to happen next? I always like pre-read and try to find out where them good points are. And then after we do like a chapter or two, depending on how timing is and how I feel, we break off into groups. Well, my children already came in with groups, being born in a group. So it's a little easier for me to break them off into groups. And I reinforce math facts in reading, writing, and I'm a worksheet queen. I love that. Some of you already have, well, in our books as well with Bridgeway, we already have like pages that needs to be done, worksheets. You can order workbooks off Amazon, or when you go to Costco or Sam's, you can get them anywhere. But I try to stick with what the school is teaching, and then I use that time to reinforce. So anything from reading, vocabulary words, spelling words, I use that time prior to school to kind of like reinforce it. And I only stick to the subjects that they're doing that day. So let's say today it was English and social studies. So I find something for them to do during that, whether it's correcting the sentences, putting the correct pronunciation, things like that. I work with it. And then by 45 minutes to class, we have a brain break. But before we do the brain break, after their worksheets, I always go and I make them set up first. Always set up. You don't want them to set up first because anything happens. And if you are like me, I'm sure you would have that one child that does everything that they're not supposed to do before class. And then time they're supposed to log in, they're like, oh, I gotta use the restroom. Oh, I gotta go get my snack. Oh, I'm like, no, you use this time during your brain break to do that. And when it's a brain break, doesn't mean that you break your brain from all the things you need to do and you just have fun. But I make sure they use the restroom and have all of their learning things out and things such as that nature. So during the school, 25 minutes prior to the class starting, I want them sitting at their computers. They can scribble, they can draw, they can do what they want to do, but I want bodies in seats. That is very important because you don't want them just like running around trying to get all their things. And I'll talk more about to make sure what you have. After class, we continue to work on in our Bridgeway Learning Center. Now, I know that some of the parents they don't have any online. So what you may want to do during that time after you work with them is to kind of, find something like you can do a worksheet or hands-on. You need something where they can be building blocks or something to keep both their mind and their hands busy. And I use a lot of index cards because I know a lot of the times we're busy. And for me, I have a lot of children raising their hand. So I have to say, okay, hold on. Give me a second. Here are your index cards. Tell me what you've learned today and tell me what you need help on. So one side of the card will say what you learned, and they write it out and they tell me. It'd be a lot of misspelled words and stuff, but trust me, I figure it all out sometimes when I'm with the younger ones. And then they flip the card over and the back of the card is red. So on the front end, tell me what you know, that's green. I guess a go. I know this, mommy. And then on the back, it's like, stop. This is what I need help on. And it's really, really neat. It's really cute. And it's something I just came up with because when I was teaching preschool and younger children, it was so many questions being like asked, and I just figured, let me just make this simple. But they had little pictures because they couldn't write. And I just use it with my children, which is a huge success. So after school, we take a break in the afternoon. I really don't push the whole thing about homework until later on, because we still do, like you have a person who have our life. So we run errands. I let them kind of relax and get on their little G pads, play outside, run errands, all of that stuff. We do that. And then around about 6 p.m., I start breaking them up into groups again. And I start with the first group. And you will hear them in, can the Quints go? Can the Quints go? Can the Quints, can the twins? So I let them pull them. Quints or twins, whichever one. And Derek is really good, and Darian is really good as well with doing their work. So I just like check on them. So that is our average day of our school day. You don't want to overwhelm them, but you want to give them kind of like let them pick and help create different activities for that. So then on our next slide, what you will see is how are you getting organized. Here you see my 4-year-olds, Diaz and Dior. And while the older ones are in school, I have them play with magnetic boards. These things you can definitely get from like Amazon. I went online and I just ordered. A lot of people say, how do you know to get this stuff? Well, I'm a hands-on learner, and just having a book and just tracing letters is just not going to get it. These two right here get into everything. So I have to make sure that they are busy with those little hands on something I can definitely see them with. So on the picture, you see they have a magnetic board, and on that they can actually stick the numbers and fill those in. So you see them doing that, tracing, cutting. I just try to keep them as busy doing that time frame. And then sometimes, depending on the schedule and how they're feeling, I make sure they go down for nap, which is always the best, because now you know they're sleeping and while the other ones are learning. But help your children get organized with their school supplies. So there are things that they are going to definitely need, whether they have online school or just all books being sent and you, the parent, are their full-time teacher. They need a lap board. Lap boards, dry erase boards. It's the same thing, but you sit it on the lap. And some of them you can order that are a little fancy with a little stand on the back, but it's so easy for you to write and erase on there. Of course, you need your computer, pencil, notebook, dry erase markers, and any little handheld, what we call them, manipulable little toys that they have, like the counting blocks, balls, marbles. You need all of those items around while you're teaching them. Make sure they use that restroom first. Make sure they have that snack near them, or they already had it, because children will definitely try to find a way to get from learning, and you have to keep it fun. Keep them engaged. Ask them questions. These things will all help to get them organized. Let them decorate their desk area. Let them get their favorite pillow. On one next slide, I think it is, I have the children sitting down. Like here you see Derek and my twins, Dallas and Denver. Dallas likes to sit on a pillow. You may see that on there. He loves his pillow, and he sits on there, and he has a pillow behind, a pillow under him. They have all of their little devices and stuff that they need around them. And I want them to be comfortable, because if they're not comfortable, you won't be as a mom, because they're going to keep coming to you. Mommy, I want this. Mommy, can I have that? You want their area very, very comfortable. Pillows, blankets, a snack by them. I always tell them to they'll be rude and just smacking in the teacher's ear if they're doing it if they have a live class. But you want them to either have all of those things there, or make it easy if you don't want to do the snacks, where after 10 or 15 minutes, you have them go and get a snack, or you say, okay, take a bathroom break. You always want them to use, when you have a call to make, if you have to, or if you have to go and take care of something else, you want to make sure they're sitting down. I am a huge, big supporter of timers. I ordered this really neat red light, green light, yellow light timer off of Amazon. A lot of teachers have them in the room, but I have one, and you just on the bottom, flip it over, set the time, and 15 minutes prior to it, it'll beep and it'll turn yellow. So they don't have to come to you and say, Mommy, what's next? How long do I have to work on this? And as a mom that have multiple children, that's something that they always come to me and they ask, how much time is this? How much longer? So I always set the timer and I say, do not interrupt me until this timer stops. And I even show them how to stop the timer. So it's just very important that you have these type of things set up so that it helps to make your day easier and help you to stay sane when it comes to, having that. So my number one tip is use a timer. And on the next slide, you will see you have to give extra time for challenging topics. So anything that your child is weaker on, like a particular subject, have them do additional worksheets and write down things they don't understand throughout their learning for you to spend more time on together. So if they say, I don't understand something about math, what is it in math you don't understand? And try to find, speaking with the counselor at the school, try to find little tests that you can do so that you can find out their learning style. I feel I've come across a lot of parents that just don't fully understand or know how to find out their child's learning style. If you can say it to your child and they understand it in the first time, that is a huge blessing. Maybe their audio. I feel like everyone has hands-on learning, advantages. So talking to the counselor at the school, talking to the teacher, setting things up at home will make it easier. And it's always some type of way that you can give the extra time for challenging topics, whether it's sight words, put it on a refrigerator door. They always come to you when they want something out the refrigerator and something out the pantry. So put a math problem up on that door. Hey, you can get this if you can answer this problem. Can you read this sentence? Then you can go outside. You put it on the exit points and on the things that they want. You want to get on your iPad today, or you want to get on that video game, you got to do this worksheet. You have to definitely set it up where it's fun. But hey, in their mind, they're looking at it like, oh, okay, so if I can just do this and understand it, all you're doing is reinforcing their learning. And you're not even putting in a whole lot of effort if you are putting up the words and things like that. So again, extra time for challenging topics. That is my tip number 2. And then on the next slide for my homeschooling tip, you will see holding your child accountable. A lot of parents I've talked to in the past had told me that they really love the fact that I said that, because a lot of the times they're like, my child just depends on me to do it all, and I have to ride them. Did you do your homework? Did you take your book out? Did you do this? So hold your child accountable for readiness when it comes to school. Give them a checklist to complete daily before and after school. So an example that I do is I make sure that their computers are plugged in after class and homework is complete and your desk is clean. For me and all of my children, I have to make sure, because we're all learning. Again, we're on vacation currently right now. But when we get back home, they still have their learning areas. But I don't have the space where they have a permanent homeschool area. So like our quintuplets, they are doing theirs downstairs at the kitchen table. The older 3, they are doing it upstairs in a classroom. Like this picture here you see, that is a picture of our classroom back at home. So I hold them accountable by saying, here's your checklist. You have to make sure that your computer is plugged in and you're ready for the next day. Your lap board is put away. Your chargers are out of the way where someone can trip on them. Your pencils are put up. Because what happens is they forget in their little minds that we have this again to do tomorrow. So they just throw everything up. They're just ready to be done. But it's like, no, you have cubbies. Your name is on it. Put everything in your cubby so that when school starts, you don't have to run around. It really and truly cuts out so much time when your child is organized. And what you're teaching them is you are learning as well. And you have to be accountable for your education. I always make the joke with my children, especially with my 15-year-old. I'm like, you're holding mommy and poppy accountable and you don't even know it. You don't realize you are, but you really are. You hold us accountable to make sure the internet is on. So when you want to get on TikTok and Instagram, that you can get on. You hold us accountable that food is in the refrigerator and that you can eat when you want. So we have to hold you accountable. You have to get your education. And I should not have to ride you about your computers, your school supplies, your homework assignments. I shouldn't have to do that. So holding your child accountable, you will really see that this is a necessary, essential learning tip. Because when they get older, you can't ride them about, did you do this before you go to work? Did you pay that car note? Did you do this? It really prepares them for real life. So then on the next slide, I have another tip that I want everyone to know is give yourself time to prepare. So, as a teacher, you really and truly, you can't just wake up the next day and say, okay, I think I'm gonna teach them about numbers today. And you haven't went through the work and break it down for them. You have to go through it. Give yourself time to sit down, look at what assignment is due, look at how do your child learn, so that you may need to go out and buy something extra so that they'll learn. You may need to go over so you can fully understand it. Because trust me, when you are in school, when your child is in school, you're in school as well. And I know sometimes it seems overwhelming. We're now in week 9 of school. And I promise you, it feels like we just started a week ago. And to now see that we're on week 9 is a lot. So we definitely want to give yourself time. Once you get a full understanding of what is needed to be done, then you can really teach your child how to get it. Think of all the ways that your child learn or can learn from this. Think about how you learn from it. Set your stuff up. And one of the things that I do is I give them my full undivided attention because I need yours, so I'm giving you mine. So I turn my phone off. I don't answer any text messages. I really and truly give my children all of that time, because the better that I have as far as gaining knowledge of their assignment and better to teach them is the quicker and better way for them to understand. Then after you have done all of that to give yourself time to prepare, you've got to get some rest. Seriously. If you're working with your child and you feel like there's a block going on and you're just not getting through, just stop. You know what? We're going to table this assignment. I'm going to email a teacher and let them know I'm working on this. Or if you are the sole teacher, you table that and you say, you know what? Let me pause. We're going to have to work on this a little bit longer, and then we'll come back to it. Don't overwhelm yourself. Really don't overwhelm yourself. Reach out again to the counselor. Go online. Try to find different ways, exercising like YouTube. Reach out, message someone. Hey, my child is having a problem with, regrouping. A lot of notebooks that you can sit and make are really helpful, but I just want you to get some rest. Pick back up on it tomorrow. Maybe it's the time of day. Maybe it's something else that's going on with your child or with yourself that you just seem that you can't get through. But you won't be able to move through this if you are stressed out, your child is stressed out, and now learning has become more of a frustration than fun. So get you some rest, get pampered, get your nails done, get a nap, or get a massage. I always use that excuse with my husband, but definitely get you some time. And then our next slide.
We're going to jump into Q&A in a minute, but I know, Karen, you had mentioned at the beginning that a lot of the times you get questions about the learning environment, and I know you wanted to share a little bit about that too. So I was going to remind you of that, and we'll jump into talking about Q&A next.
Thank you, Justin. Yes. So one of the things that I had recently posted on Instagram was a picture of my Derrico with a Spider-Man cap on. When I don't know about you all, but when I was in school, my teacher always would say, put on your thinking caps. Let's put on our thinking caps. And Derrico really and truly loves this Spider-Man cap. And trust me, there are times that he's looking through the holes and they're like covering up a little bit. And I'm like, you got to adjust it. But when he puts it on, he says, no, mommy, Spider-Man makes me even more smarter. So I put it on. I want them to be comfortable. So if it's something, I know this week is Spirit Week at school, which is a really fun time. but let your child have spirit week all the time in school. Let them wear something that is going to be, if they want to feel like a princess and you want to say, Princess Carla is learning today, do that. I always say Superman Danico, let's go. Spider-Man Danico, let's go. And through that, all my other children learn. I want them to be comfortable. So it's already a little different that your child is learning from home if they've already been introduced to traditional learning. So you definitely want to make it easy, comfortable, and as long as it's not interfering as far as with them constantly touching or moving or something like that, you want to make it easy, because again, learning is about creativity. That's the best part about learning for me. So if you want to be a fairy tale, Spider-Man, be it. So I just definitely want to let the parents know. I got a lot of good feedback when I posted the picture. So I just wanted to share it with you all, and it's definitely been amazing. So I'm ready for any of your questions that you may have for me.
Awesome. So we had a bunch of questions asked early on, and some of them you've kind of answered today, but one I'll kind of loop back in here. So you kind of walk through that average day, and I think I got a general sense of this answer to this question, but how long is that time period where you're doing schoolwork with your kids? Obviously, there's a lot of them, so some of them might be doing a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. What's that ballpark amount of time? I think I know what it is, but
the ballpark, again, yes, sometimes they understand what they're doing. I try to work with them. School is we have the 12 to 3. You have an hour break in between that class. So when I have that hour break, so from 1 to 2, I jump in right then and there. When they're done, I use that hour. I use the 2 hours before school starts. So that's already 3 hours. And then after school is over, after we run our errands or do anything like that, we start again at 6. So I use a couple of hours. So you're looking at like 5 hours after the school that I work with them. So you have a total of 5. And as you can see, I get in where I fit in. 2 hours before school, that hour break between classes. But again, my children are on there. They're doing blended. So that's the extra support that I needed. When you're a parent and you're doing it all, I suggest that you do the main core at the beginning to get that out. And then you do any reinforcement. I think you should take at least about an hour to 2 hours after that, when you're doing a full-time, the curriculum with the books without any online support.
So that's a great pivot into just explaining a little bit about the programs that Bridgeway Academy has to offer. So we've already gotten started on this school year with our live programs. A lot of people were looking for that. That is some of the programs that you use with the Quince. I believe that's blended live. So they're in there doing that coursework each day. I think Monday through Thursday, there's 2 classes each day. So they have that live instruction teacher, and there's other students in their class, and they're participating and asking questions. That's really cool. And I think some of the photos that we saw today kind of show that. That's really neat to see. And then I think several of your other kids are in slightly different programs. Maybe I think it's a self-paced program for Darian. I think Darian's in like a self-paced online.
She was in it
last year. She's in textbook this year.
Yes.
But primarily textbook. But that's a great point as people ask questions and have things that they'd like to hear more about too, is there are different styles of learning across homeschooling. And so Bridgeway has a lot of those available. And then you are obviously taking advantage of what works best for each group of kids or each kid, depending on all of that. So one question that did come in the Zoom webinar sign up, somebody said, do any of your children have learning delays? And if so, how do you deal with those delays and help them get to where they need to be each day?
Oh, that's a really great question. So one of my children learns a little bit, it takes a little bit more time. Never been diagnosed or labeled with anything like dyslexia or any title, but through my experience in it, I've learned that they have to learn, I have to work with them. So I'll give an example. When we're working on multiplications, that magnetic board that I ordered, he's not one that he just got to write it down. And it's Danico. So Danico is one that I know that when I'm going through preparing for the assignments and looking to see what needs to be done, they're in 3rd grade, they're learning multiplication. That magnetic board that I ordered from Amazon, it's a math It's a big kit. It comes with all of the math symbols in there. So I do everything from grouping with a lot of different toys to the magnetic board. And I sit and I start with him. I use the weekend as well. I use any time to sit down with him one-on-one, and I sit with the magnetic board and I get it. And I let him work on that. I do worksheets with him. I take a lot of extra time. So once I see that he's going to struggle, or I always prepare myself on how can I teach this to him. I also want to share this with you all. They all had a tutor, and the tutor came to me one day, a math tutor, and she was like, I just seem like I can't get through to him, and I don't know what it is. And to be honest with you, I felt a little like, I'm glad you're telling me, but you kind of like, it's like, it's kind of hurtful, because of course I understand where she was coming from as a tutor. She wanted to make that connection, but I kind of sort of felt it like it was a give up. And it really reminded me that as his mom, as his teacher, I have to be the one to break these barriers. Because what if she told another parent that, and the parent just was like, okay, I come to you as my source, I'm just gonna pull my child out. So because I know that in this instance that Derrico is the one that I have to take the extra time with, I just sit down with him. I sit down, I found his learning style. He learns again through music, he learns with hands-on, and he has to have repetition. So I just sit, I say, okay, let's sit down, let's do it together. And I praise him constantly. Now he's zipping through multiplication. He's reading well. I do group reading. And while we're reading, if you have cousins, nieces, anyone around, always show support. When they're getting a word right and break it down, clap your hand. How do you do this? You constantly praise, because a child that needs extra work, they already got self-esteem issues because they feel like they don't get it as fast. So you want to constantly praise them for all of the milestones, and you want to have patience with them. And that's how I break it down with Derrico. And I thank God he's doing amazing.
Thanks, Karen. And you kind of mentioned this a little bit. I don't know if this is still the case, but another question was, what kind of or how much help do you have when it comes to support with homeschooling? I don't know if they specifically meant with Bridgeway or if they meant in your home, but I'll let you answer both or either. It's up to you.
As far as I have a lot of support with Bridgeway for sure. The counselor, Betsy Joy, is amazing. I can call her and say, hey, something's come up and I need another book or something like that. Always effective communication is the best. And then their teachers. Again, we have the blended online program. So I am constantly, emailing the teachers. I am saying, oh, we need more time for this. We're vacationing. I didn't bring that book. I'll go online. I'll print it off. You got to definitely talk to your teachers and let them know what you're not going to get on their nerve, but they'd rather know so they can give you the support and the help you need, versus you just assuming that they know. They're not psychic. And then as far as at home, it is just me. It really and truly, I know it's crazy. It is just me. I have a tutor back at home that they can go to for extra support with their math. But I've been really blessed so far that their teachers, they have availability sometimes that they could actually help them, give them 20-minute sessions and help them one-on-one. And then I also teach my children to reach out, because sometimes they learn better with their peers. So as long as their parents are okay with it, they actually work some time one-on-one. They meet other classmates and they schedule a time during the week that they just sit and do some work together. That's more in my daughter's 10th grade, but that's the support that I have.
So Linda has a great question. She asked this in the Zoom Q&A just now. We're completely new to homeschooling as a family, and my 15-year-old twin daughters have been in public school their whole lives. What made you to decide to homeschool, and how did you deal with the teenage drama with homeschool?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question, Linda. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, two 15-year-old daughters. I am like, that is a lot, especially when you come from public school, traditional, and now they decided to. We actually, it was a decision with Derrico, my husband, to homeschool them. I was not with it 100%, because I knew that it would follow me. But mind you, I had just given birth to multiples. So I was kind of like, how am I going to breastfeed, homeschool, and keep up with everything right then and there? But it was definitely a necessity because our babies were coming home from the NICU. There were a lot of crazy things going on, and we just felt it was best for them to come home. This is before a TV show, before COVID. So we had time to get acclimated to a homeschool and try a different types of programs. So Darian is doing amazing. One of the things I want to let you know, Linda, is although your girls are going to be attending homeschool, they are still associated with the school district in which they attend. So keep their rapport with the school, because Darian was able to play volleyball still with the local school. She was able to attend prom, homecoming. She's able to do all of those things, providing our schedule allows it. But keep in contact, keep the connection with them, because although they're taking their classes online, they can also participate in sports and other activities. And you can always still meet up with their friends. So I think you should have a conversation with them to let them know this is why you're being home at home. However, you can still participate as long as your grades and everything adds up.
And on top of that question too, those really great ideas. What got you into homeschooling? Several people have asked that in the Q&A, and then in the questions leading up to now, what really motivated you to start homeschooling? I know we've probably talked about this before, but within this webinar, I know that several people were asking about that as well.
Okay, definitely. So what got me, like I said, first it was the fact that I gave birth to my quintuplets, and with them being in NICU, Darian was still in traditional school, and it was my fear was her coming home with something that could be contagious for my new babies. And then she went back to school, and then after she came, after we kept giving birth to babies. I know it's just weird. Kept having babies, and then hold on one second. I'm sorry. What is it? I apologize. I have a 4-year-old that keeps knocking on the door.
No, you're fine. If you need to take a minute, Karen, I can answer a couple questions that have come in for Bridgeway too, so that's fine.
No, it's okay. I just text my husband to grab him. I apologize. No, so I just decided that after we had our last set of babies, triplets, Awesome Dawson had open heart surgery. And that was reason number one. And then two, the quintuplets were in class. Although they were at a great school and they all kept them together, I noticed that, my boys in the group needed extra time. And trying to keep up with the learning schedule of a school district and a teacher, that was a lot. They don't really allow room for when there are children that need extra time. They're on a time schedule. You got to learn this, you have to do this. And it was just a lot. So I decided to pull them home because thank God I have the background in early childhood education. So I knew the things that I needed to do to teach them. I knew the ways, I knew the extra timing they needed. And those were my reasons for doing it. And I wanted to have more of a grip, and a little selfish too. I wanted them to be able to say, I learned this from mommy. Mommy taught me this, or mommy taught me that. So those are our reasons, as to why, between giving birth to babies that was in the NICU, coming home with, contagious infections and viruses, we just could not have that. And I wanted to have more of a grip on their education.
Awesome. Someone else asked in the sign up, how do I start homeschooling if they are in the middle of their term? So being that it's October, it's not a normal time to start school. Many people are kind of looking towards when's that best time to start homeschooling. We're getting this question a lot here at Bridgeway. And a really great answer is that you can enroll with Bridgeway Academy today. We can work with you and get you set up on a program that's really going to best fit your individual child's needs. That's what we're all about. And that can actually be for January. If you want to make that switch in January, I would encourage you to start talking to our admissions team. They're able to answer those questions that you might have, the individual details. They work with families all over the US, so they're very familiar with the laws and the specific things in a lot of the states that you might be listening from. And then as well, just once you get and enroll with Bridgeway, you're talking to an academic advisor. They can help you transition from the school year now into the school year in January. But there are also people that are like, well, what I have going right now is just not working. And we hear that a lot too. Apologize if you hear the dog in the background. My 5-year-old is yelling at the dog now. So anyway, but we do have families that say, you know what, this isn't working. Can I start in Bridgeway now and just, pay for the whole school year, jump in and do as much as I can? Yes, definitely. And our academic advisors can also set it so you're not starting at the beginning of the school year. Get to the point where your kids already know a certain amount of content. And then start at that point within our programs. Now, the only programs that really doesn't work well with is our live programs because they start at a certain time of the year. But if you look towards the middle of the year, we are looking to open those enrollments up towards the middle of the year as well. So that's a great question. I also have a couple other questions for you, Karen. We'll keep this going as long as you're able to, probably towards the top of the hour, but we have a lot of questions that have come in and I want to make sure that we get them. You mentioned this before, but do you find time for self-care? If so, what are some of those things that you do to recharge yourself, re-energize yourself, because you have so many kids depending on you, especially for that energy to be excited about learning?
Right, absolutely. Self-care stuff is important. I went and got my nails done yesterday. Got my nails and my feet done. Definitely, that was a 4-hour ordeal. Please don't let me go into details of that, but just know it's a long 4-hour ordeal that I went and got that done. I wanted to back up really quickly, Justin. You mentioned something, someone asked about how they can get signed up and if their program they're currently on isn't working. I wanted to add really quickly to this is that when you're leaving your current program and want to sign up with Bridgeway, that is awesome. But I also want you to know what you're looking for so it can help the counselor help to better guide you. So for instance, when I first came to Bridgeway and I went online and I looked it up and all of that, I had ordered all of the materials and that's what the self-paced. And I knew, oh my gosh, this was a lot because I was the teacher. All the materials were sent to me. And it was a lot to stay on my 15-year-old, you need to do your work, you need to do this. And it was a lot on that part of it. So during the summer, she was still doing schoolwork so that she can complete it. And it was extremely overwhelming for me doing that. So when I came back this year, I knew exactly what I needed. I needed support. I needed this. And, I just knew. So coming here, make sure you make a list of what do you think you would need the support in? What do you think you're looking for? And I promise you, it'll definitely help your counselors out more. Now, back to my self-care. The second thing that I do with self-care is, again, I'm here on vacation in Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, actually. Literally, I am looking at the ocean as we speak. That is very therapeutic for me. So depending on what I have set, I try to set it up where while they're in class for that first hour, I try to set it up where I go down for a nap. Because remember, I've already taught them prior to it. All you got to do is sit in front of your live teacher. Again, this is the blended program. I make sure they're, logged in and they're ready. I go down for a nap, or lay down, just to rest my mind for that. And then the hour break that they have, if I don't get to work with them for whatever reason, I have them go to another part of the house and I have them just kind of lay down and rest their mind. And in that way, while they're resting their mind, I'm resting my mind again. So, it just depends on what's needed. Again, I try to use that hour for any help with schoolwork, but if something comes up and I can't for whatever reason, I have them just go and rest because they need a break from sitting at the computer during that time. But I try to walk on the beach while I'm visiting here. When we get back home, I try to make calls. I just try to more than anything, relax. Now I'm trying to find a masseuse that comes to my house. So that's on the top of the list. Get me a massage.
We have another question in the Q&A that says, how do you find friendships for your children within your community? You kind of talked about it a little bit already with Darian and other opportunities for her to be connected and to participate in sports and other things. But what other ways have you found or seen be successful with just kind of getting your kids connected?
Oh, that's a great question. And now we're dealing with COVID, so everything is kind of like it's slowly opening it back up, but it's still kind of closed. Finding a course again, talking to the school you're zoned for. That's the number one start, because a lot of parents, they really don't know that although your child is homeschooled and you have already surrendered the letter of intent to homeschool your child, you still pay taxes. So your child is still zoned for that school, and it's a public school. That's where your tax dollars are going to. So you want to go in and schedule a meeting with the principal, get to know them, let your child meet with them and say, hey, although they're homeschooled, I still want them to support to, be a part of any sports that could be here. It's definitely up to the principal and talking with them, but I think that's a great start. And then while you're out, if you're a part of a church, that's one other group that they can be a part of. On play dates, talking to parents. If you see your child connected and bonded, keep that relationship going if the other parent is open to it. I'll give you a quick example. We're here on vacation. At the party, we had some friends flying from Michigan, and they brought an 11-year-old little boy with him. Him and Derek clicked, like really clicked and bonded and had a great time. So guess what? They're all like on social media. We exchanged numbers, and we're planning a trip where in January that we're going to fly. They're going to fly up to Vegas. So I know that's not everybody's case that they can do that, but you never know what a parent is open to doing. And we're all the way in Myrtle Beach, and he connected with him, but just staying in contact and talking. And I use old school stuff, writing letters, making cards, mailing them out. I do little things like that, but that's ways that I do it through the church, through the local school, any local youth sporting events that you can attend and sign them up for. Those are other ways as well.
Great. Another question for the Bridgeway side. When the children graduate, when the kids graduate, do they graduate with a traditional high school diploma? And is this school specifically accredited? I do want to make one distinction, like you mentioned earlier, when you're homeschooling, just I would almost say just with Bridgeway, if you're doing independent courses, which would not be accredited, it does not come with those things. But what Karen here and her family is doing, and what thousands of other across the US, around the world are doing, enrolling in Bridgeway Academy, it does come with that support. You get transcripts. Even if you don't reach the grade in which you're about to graduate and go on to college or the workforce, then you are looking at having all of that support that allows you to transfer from different schools if that's something that you're looking to be able to do. But then once you get to graduation, yes, you do get a traditional high school diploma, and we are actually internationally accredited, as well as several accrediting bodies here in the US. So definitely answering yes to that question. There are definitely accredited options and the diploma option there. So I'll transition back to asking a quick question to you, Karen. I've just got a couple more here. Won't keep you guys too long, but these are some really good questions. And I think you probably have some really cool tricks for this one. I went, oh man, I'm not even sure how to say that first name, but I'm not sure if Nicole is her first name or her last name, but I'll just say Nicole. I have twin 3-year-olds. How do you keep your little ones quiet during learning time with the big kids? And the twins are always loud and interrupting once we start school. Great question.
That is a very good question. Oh my gosh. Sounds like you have a Diaz and a Dior. Sounds like that what you have, because my 4-year-olds are like, oh my gosh, one is the brains and one is the action. So it's always a job. But I hold them off. So I'll give you an example. Now that they're doing a blended school program online, I really limit a lot of their screen time. And they have something called G-pads, every last one of my children. And I make sure that they do not get on those G-pads when they're school days. So they may only get on it on the weekends. But with my 4-year-olds, again, I have the magnetic boards, I have cutting paper, I have them do a lot of arts and craft things away from the other ones, and have them do it probably in another room where they're sitting down, they're cutting, they're tracing, they have their little music on. Put them in another room if you can, and give them things that they can do to keep them busy. So one of the other things that I would recommend is, what is that one toy that they love to play with? You hold that toy against them, like don't let them get it, And then when school starts, you let them go in the room and say, okay, here, play with your action figure. You know why? Because that's going to keep them. When you've held it from them all day until it's times for school, for your other ones to go to school, they're going to enjoy that, because remember, they haven't had it for a while. So that has been one that has worked for me. So like the G-pads, when I keep it from them, and then during 12 to 3, when my older ones are in school, I let them get on the G-pad, and I already got it set up to where they can only go to like a leapfrog learning or some like little music thing on YouTube. It keeps them busy. They don't even come out the room. I have to go in there and get them out of there. I promise you it works. So lots of arts and crafts. Any favorite toy that they love, don't give it to them. Don't. Throughout the week, don't give it. And then right at school time is when you allow them to play. So now they know in their mind, you are letting them know you only get this when your siblings are in school, and you must remain quiet. It works every time, I promise.
I can testify. My wife is constantly handling a couple kids, not as many as you, but similar tactics she's employing there as well. I have another question for the Bridgeway side of things. What does the enrollment process and deadline look like? Bridgeway Academy is has a rolling admissions policy, so you can actually enroll at any time of the year. We have families start in January, October, July, March. It really doesn't matter. It only kind of limits the programs that are available to you when you enroll. So if you're looking for a live program, those have start dates and end dates. Specifically the one that Karen has her quints in, that has a start date. It was August 30th when classes start this past fall. The mid-year classes start up in January again. So we are going to be opening that up for those families looking to jump in mid-year for blended live on that program. But traditionally, if you're just looking for a self-paced option or text-based accredited, fully supported options, you can actually jump in right now or in 2 months, whenever is really going to be best for your family. I recommend talking to our admissions team, explaining your situation. They'll give you a recommendation. Sure, they're motivated. They want you to join our family, but at the same time, they're going to give you the best advice. And if that's, come back in a couple months and we'll help you out, get started, then that's what they're going to tell you. So really a great process from my perspective. They really know what they're doing. And then once you get into that academy, your advisor is going to support that journey all the way through, selecting specific curriculum and deciding on your start date and understanding each of your child's learning abilities. So really an awesome question there as well. I do have a couple more questions. An anonymous person on Zoom asked, when you compare yourself today to when you started homeschooling, in what ways do you think you've grown, Karen? And then also, are there any things that you would have done differently? Definitely heard a couple of them a few minutes ago, but I'll let you share any other.
Yes, when I first started homeschooling, it was thrown into my lap. Let's first start with that. Darian did a program locally. It was a hybrid where the teacher came to our house. That was like wonderful. He came once a week for 2 hours, and he worked with her on math and reading. And then the rest of the week, we just, did her regular homeschool. And then the next year, they changed it to where she had to now like go to the local library or something. Well, with our growing family, that was a lot to leave outside of the home. And so it was kind of like, okay, how do I do this? So we went through this whole thing of, okay, went from a hybrid program locally to putting her back in school, to having more babies, to bringing her out. And it was just a lot. And one of the things that I learned is it's definitely, trials that you got to go through. A lot of errors are going to happen because you're trying to fix this and find what is easier for you. And you definitely need support. My husband is out working, but he still is more of a stay at home. Doing real estate, he can come and go as he pleases. So I did have the support of, he would pop in and pop out and like ask questions and stuff to the teachers that if I was upstairs breastfeeding or doing something with the children was to help. But I didn't know. Then I tried to do this on my own, where I ordered all the curriculum from Amazon. And you couldn't tell me I wasn't ready. I was like, okay, I got every book that I need, 180 days of spelling. I had all of this stuff, but I totally forgot that I had to sit down and prepare myself. I mean, I've got 9 children, 5 of them infants. I'm trying to homeschool. It was just a lot of stuff. So I had to learn what I needed help in, what I needed the support extra. I didn't learn how my children learn, and I'm doing this on my own. And as much as I want the help, I know in the show I talked about not wanting a nanny. It wasn't so much that I don't want a nanny, but I need to figure this out on my own, because there are days that I won't be able to have the help. My nanny may call off. We're living in a state, we're all on the West Coast with all of my families on the East Coast. So I needed to get this together myself so that I can help you help me. So when someone comes over to say, hey, Karen, I can help you with whatever, I can then say, Justin, I need you to open a book, turn to page 13, and make sure Darian does that page. But if you don't know where you need your help at, how can you help someone help you? So you have to know. So all the trials and tribulations, that exactly is what led me to know this year when I got to Bridgeway, I need support. I need blended. I need this, I need that. So when I got on that call, I was like, listen, I just need a teacher with them. I need that support. And it was so much easier. But you cannot just jump in this and expect that your child is just going to get it. No matter which route you take, the teachers are not going to be there all the time, meaning you can't rely on them for just teaching your child and that's it. You have to know that it's blended, and your child learns the best when they're getting support from you. No matter which route you take, blended or self-paced, they learn best with your support. So that's how I got down this great road of homeschooling. It's been definitely a blessing.
Fantastic responses. And the time that you spent today, we really appreciate it. I do have one last question, and it kind of sums up several other questions that have been asked. And you've answered a lot of questions around and just in the information you gave earlier about how do you homeschool with multiple kids. But there are several questions from people that are saying, what is your advice for someone who's trying to work full time and do that homeschooling thing? And while, you might not have a traditional working job where you're going into an office, you definitely have the show and a lot of activities and family things going on that probably lumped all together feel like a full-time job, just keeping up with all of the scheduling that you have on top of the education side of things and caring for your kids. So I don't know, maybe you have some advice for those people as well. And I also wanted just to say, if Karen can do it, pretty much anyone out there can do homeschooling. So besides that, I'll let you go to answer that one.
Yes, and I appreciate it. Actually, I did work a job full time before a TV show or anything came along. I worked. My job was a 45-minute drive away from our house in Vegas. And although it was part-time hours of 8:30 to 1:30, it felt full-time because, again, a 45-minute drive both ways. And I literally would get home from work, get home at like 3 p.m. and have to like decompress and then say, okay, get your books out. The whole time prior to that, my children was just doing their own thing. So I always felt like they were just losing and missing out on stuff. So I think that one of the things, if there's any way possible, you can have any type of support to help you, that would be great. So let's just say dad, grandma, aunt, someone is staying with you who are watching the children while you're at work. Start with the worksheets, start with the books that you have and say, it's important that they do 2 to 3 pages while I'm at work. I know that it's very minimal, but you don't want to overwhelm the support that you have, if you have that. Then when you get home, take that time for yourself. I say give yourself about an hour and a half after traffic, after all you done been through, and sit down. And that's what I did. I sat down, ate dinner, I got myself together, and then I just broke mine off into groups. Okay, Quince, we're gonna start with you. Let's start with reading. Let's start with math. And I don't overwhelm myself with it. And for me personally, I am one that like to do it all. I like to put my hand in this, but I found with me trying to do it all, something is going to go lacking. Something's not going to be done right. And you don't want that. You want it to be definitely paced out, and you want to be able to take your time and teach it. If your child is good with reading, just give them something to read, write it out. Hey, what did you learn today? You go through and you read that. You don't have to take as much time in reading, but you focus on the weaker subjects, you have fun on the fun subjects, and you give yourself time. So when you get home and you get home later in the afternoon, you let them know you're going to stay up later tonight, but we're going to go through our work. Weekend time, you use that time if you have a weekend off, but you use that time on off days to do as much work as you can. And I know it's a lot, but it really balances out, because it balances out on the days that you can't do it or you don't have any support, that you've made it up because you work extra hard on your off days to work with your child. And eventually people are going to see your hard work. Your child is going to do it. Remember all the tips I told you about holding them accountable, and start small, and then work your way through it. You'll get through it. You definitely will.
Great tips for all homeschooling families, not just those with a lot of kids. So I appreciate you sharing all of this today. I want to keep in touch. If you're joining this webinar, you've never heard of Bridgeway or Bridgeway Academy, maybe you're not ready to jump into homeschooling quite yet, but you kind of want to hear more about it, right? We recommend subscribing to our blog. We've got a great homeschooling help blog. We'll probably be writing some articles with some of Karen's help throughout this year. We put out several articles a week. Some of them, for instance, just teaching your homeschool how to set goals, holding them accountable with those goals, like Karen was mentioning. We also have some tips and strategies from our CEO in a recent article. And we try to be really relevant to the things that are going on. We're hearing a lot about anxiety and stress right now, not necessarily for those who are homeschooling, but for those who are in public school settings. A lot of variables that you can't control, a lot of things going on in schools that not everyone is happy with, producing that stress and anxiety. The kids aren't learning the way they should be. They're looking for options, and we're trying to also reach out to them and let them know that they have options. Homeschooling in general, Bridgeway would be a great option, but there are a lot of them out there. So we recommend doing that. If you want to, you can go right on our website and subscribe to our blog. I think we even put a link up in our chat. So that's a great way to stay in touch with us. We'll be doing more with Karen throughout the whole year, sharing her journey. She'll be posting on social media and sharing her journey with her kids. I do want to call out, if you are looking to maybe test out Bridgeway Academy, we do have some live online trimester classes, which are like 10 weeks at a time. There are a lot of times they're like fun classes, things that can really engage your kids outside of the traditional math, reading, writing, arithmetic, all that stuff. They begin on November 8th. So if that's something that you kind of want to get a little bit more understanding of what live classes could look like in a homeschooling setting, it's a great option for you as well. So thank you so much to those who've joined us. And thank you, Karen, for all the tips and answering so many questions and staying on past 5 o'clock here on the East Coast.
You're fine. Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Everyone, have a great afternoon.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.